It's quite disturbing,
Mm.
especially within the police force, of course. You know, like
Yeah.
140 diversity liaison officers in our police force. You know, I'm not quite sure how many personnel the police force have, but New Zealand only has 5.5 million people, and I mean
Yeah.
of those, you know, who are whatever you want to call them, neo-rainbow, I don't know, it's about 0.5% or 0.5% or
Yeah.
something.
Uh,
Yeah, according
And
to
they've,
stats.
they're doing that at the same time they've stopped mental health call-outs.
Yes,
They've stopped it.
the police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've stopped
So,
mental health call-outs. Oh my
yep.
God.
Mm.
So the poor CAT team workers and the mental health workers and that, like even in the paper just the other day, there was, they rang for the police and no one came, in a
Right.
crisis, no one came. So they're too busy doing the diversity liaison.
Yeah.
If someone was like
Staggering.
on a bridge threatening to jump, they wouldn't go out and see them.
So hopefully with Briggs's court case being dismissed or whatever, because she hasn't got a criminal record, or diversion, they've finally given her diversion. She has to do 20 hours community work and write an apology letter. No fine.
An apology
That's it.
letter. I can't wait to see that.
Oh, yeah. But, it's like back to that feelings about we got to care for everyone in the world. Mate, you can say what you
Yeah.
want. You don't have to mean it. Hey,
Yeah.
That's
But
a
you
good point.
can't be forced to mean something, can you?
Mm.
no,
I
you,
don't
you
like being
can't
forced.
force. You can't force sincerity.
No.
No law's going to make us, well, it's not going to make me sincere and it's not going to make me call transvestite a woman. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Hey,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
shocking,
and
isn't it? They're just
yeah,
targeting women for just
they are.
speaking and
But
truth.
you've got to be some kind of stupid person to target, Rick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I wouldn't like to
personally
mess with
think,
them.
hey, like, boy, are you arrogant or what? You've chosen the, the loudest, what are you up to?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
got threatened as well, Katrina, with stuff if from the
Oh,
same
that
sort
same
of
guy.
quarters, didn't you?
That same guy a few years beforehand, he sort of threatened me told me I had to take down all mentions of him, otherwise, there'd be legal proceedings. And I just ignored him. Yeah, and
Yeah.
nothing happened. He didn't go to the police, obviously, or anything. So, but
So, and yeah, so I think, oh, wow.
that
Yeah.
was the worst mob violence against women in New Zealand's history. And as far as politicians and that want to go, and I'm not saying all politicians are bad, but they just want to sweep that under the rug. They do not want to
Yes,
address that.
all of them do, I'd agree with that, They don't really want to acknowledge it, talk about it, or that it even happened.
Yeah, so puberty blockers have been banned here, but they're starting a trial.
Yes,
So
are they
they're
still going to
testing
go
on
ahead with
children.
that?
It's
Yes.
disgusting. Yeah,
They're
that's going
still
ahead
doing
soon.
that, right?
And Wes Streeton says he feels uncomfortable about it, but he's doing it anyway.
Yeah,
Why do so
I
many
know.
people want to harm other people's children? That's the part that gets me. They're not even your kids, mate.
Nah, it's
Yeah.
the TRAs. They're putting pressure on him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they've ended up with so much clout. It's just staggering. I mean, they gathered a lot of it just while we were looking, basically, because we didn't know we had to look. And they've just ended up with so much clout. It's just unbelievable, the influence they have. It's quite disturbing, especially within the police force, of course. Like 140 diversity liaison officers in our police force.
If you're watching this, you know how heavy the world feels right now. But for many of you, the loudest noise isn't in the news, it's in your own living room. When someone that you love identifies as trans, it can feel like the floor's being pulled out from under you. You're told what to say, how to think, and that your own grief is bigotry. You're not a bigot, you're grieving. You're a mother, a sister, a daughter, or a wife who's been silenced in her own home. I know that feeling of walking on eggshells, and I know the loneliness of being the scapegoat for simply speaking the truth, and I know that you can't force sincerity. My counselling service is a safe space for women to stop pretending. We don't do ideology here, we do reality, we do recovery, and we find solid ground again. If the family's running well, the community runs well, let's start with you. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. Visit kellyoliverdougal.co.uk and book a confidential session. Let's find your voice again.
Oh, so
Yay.
today we are joined once again by Katrina and Di, who were on my podcast right at the beginning, weren't you? It was about a year ago.
It was about a year ago now.
So we're going to get an
So
update
much has
about what's
happened.
happening in New Zealand. Yeah, because I think from a UK perspective, with Turf Island, things have improved. They're still not good, but they have improved. But it doesn't sound like it has in New Zealand.
Slowly, we've had a couple of reasonable sort of, I don't know if you'd call them wins, but they've been, like things are going the right way which is against trans ideology. But I think Rex had a good outcome in her court case, didn't she?
Yeah,
Yes,
tell us
yes.
about that.
Well, after a year of court appearances, because Caitlin Spice, Daniel Johnston, the man, he just harasses women all the time, Kelly, and he thought he'd go for Rex. And Rex being Rex
Bad
was
idea.
no, and just kept no, 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 and took it all the way. I mean, the week before the result, she was going, right, we might be taking this to jury. Because it was a hum and ha. We were judge and jury. How are you going to find 12 turfs in Wokington? Because Wellington is the woke capital of New Zealand. But no. And then the day before her final appearance, where it was meant to be judge alone trial, where the 6'4" man, he's a big hulking brute, mate. I'd probably come up to his elbows, for goodness sake. Go, oh yes, and if I have to come to court, I'd like to request screens. And screens are what we put up in front of children, in front of vulnerable victims of, really heinous crimes and murder and assaults and everything. And this big hulking brute wanted screens, and he would have been given them, but, he's a drop nuts fucker because he didn't show up. None of his mates showed up, and it basically got thrown out of court.
Good.
So right up until the day of court, Kellyanne, it was you can't have diversion, you can't have the parallel mouldy justice, because we have the two types here, because we're kind of specialist mouldy apparently, and she was refused that. She was refused diversion. She was just refused everything. And no, we're going to trial and we're going to prosecute you. The prosecutor got up and said she's in the grip of an ideology. So it just goes to show where the police are here. And
And
then on
that's
the day
rich.
of the trial, on the day of it, like we were waiting outside for the court to open longer than what we were inside, and it was just, over. And it was under the HDCA, which is Harmful Digital Communications Act, is where it's a bit of a crazy act because it's very subjective. You just got to say it hurt my feelings. You don't actually have to prove anything before it can
Yeah.
land in a court of law. That's right, Katrina?
Yeah. They
Yeah,
they don't actually have to prove how the feelings were hurt or how the harm happened or anything. It's just like,
yeah.
this hurt me,
You
so
hurt me. You know, b-
It sounds like our
misgendering,
hate
dead
crime
naming.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to bring that in here too, aren't they? Like the Law
yeah.
Commission are
Yeah.
trying to
Well, they're
make dead
trying to,
naming,
yeah.
misgendering
Yeah. I mean, that the HDCA
all
was
the
originally
time.
set up to stop, for good reasons, to stop people sort of, I think, sending nude photos of women and things like that, like actual real harm, that kind of thing. But it's just morphed into this stupid thing now of you hurt my feelings. So, and so
Well,
that's what
top
this
cop. Hey,
is all about. Beg your pardon?
The top cop of New Zealand was caught with bestiality, child porn, and all this Category 1 pornography. He got 9 months home D. But the woman who tried to blow the whistle on him, the police are still prosecuting her under the HDCA. Like, we're not a serious country, I tell you.
Yeah, the UK is like that as well. It really is. They prosecute the wrong people. The
Yeah.
Yeah,
paedophiles are getting off, and the people who whistleblow are being persecuted. It's
yes,
just all wrong.
yes. It's just crazy. I mean, after watching Australia in the last week, I'm glad we're in New Zealand, but we're not that much better. The Troons are still running the show. Like, the police's extreme trans hate guide on the police website, where they
Yes.
talk about how us old nannies go round instigating violence, and we're a hate group, and we're Nazis and bigoted and hateful, and we go out looking for these people. I'm telling you,
She's
we
not.
go out
She's
there
not.
on purpose.
Yeah, she's not joking. Like it is in the process, I believe, of getting taken down. One has been taken down on one web page on the police website, but it's still on another web page, so that's being addressed. But there's this guidance from this group called Gender Minorities claim that older women deliberately provoke trans women, men,
Yeah.
and commonly, commonly attack them because they know they can get away with it because of our age. So, and this is, it's just gobsmacking. And they also claim that we get these Nazi type security personnel, and they can sexually assault these trans people. It's just this incredibly insane guidelines. And I suspect they just got it from somewhere overseas, actually, Di, and have just
And wrote a few fantasies, and they've got these Nazis and they assault us. But it's not a fetish.
yeah.
Because
So
they're
this is
filthy fucking pricks, mate.
yeah.
Filthy pigs. Ugh.
This is on the police website, and yeah, it's been addressed, and I think they're going to, as I said, they've taken
No,
it off one page.
we've just got drag kings and queens, or whatever the delusional sex clowns want to call themselves. They've just kicked off again here, doing another round. We've had people in court for storming a library and shutting them down. But
Oh, that's
so many people are against this, but it's the people in power that are pushing it.
Yeah.
So what's their payoff?
yeah,
What is their
yeah,
payoff?
Because it's
That's
going
what
to
I want to
affect their
know.
families as well. Like, they'll have children.
yeah. But they
Yeah, but a
could,
lot of
because
them are,
they're country.
they'll never go to a public store like the same place I'd shop, Kelly. They're in gated communities. They go to boutiques, like they don't go to the big, like, I don't know, I guess equivalent of Tesco's or Kmart, or, they'll be at, the flasher stores. But they're gated
Yeah.
communities, and I've said this for a long time, and not going to protect them forever. So what's their payoff? I really want to know what they're being paid off to allow this.
Yeah. It does make you wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean, and the trans is only part
yeah.
of it, Now we got all these
Yeah.
this Islam shit happening. Like, we're about to be
Yeah.
inundated with a whole lot of bloody Indians. And
Right. So,
personally, I don't care. You can call me racist. I do not care. But I do not like Indian men. I do not like fresh Indian men. The ones that have been here for a while and that have been brought up here and that are Kiwis, obviously I don't have a problem with. But the ones that are just
yeah.
fresh out of India, I can't stand them. And no one's put together. If
Well,
you
that's
read the
not about
crime
race,
stats
is it?
there, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, that's me being racist, but, I don't
It's
care. I'm
not, though.
racist.
It's not racist because you haven't got a problem with all of them. It's the ones that aren't the same culture.
It's integrated. Yeah,
Yeah.
They,
It's about a cultural
and they,
clash.
it is a huge cultural clash, and because at the moment, and I see it happening in America, and I see it happening in the UK, the race wars, like they're pitting like Katrina and I against each other. Oh, the Maoris, they're
Yeah.
special, and they think they're special, and Tamir. Well, I think we need to stop that because we're being inundated and going to be overtaken, and we won't have a say. We'll have foreigners making laws in our own country that we
Yeah,
won't
that's
get a say
happening
in
here
because we're too
already.
busy arguing with each other.
And it's similar in the UK, isn't it, Kelly?
Yes.
A similar sort of
It
situation
it's
where you
happening
have
here.
a lot of
We've
immigrants.
got MPs who are of different religions, and the Labour Party have gone along with them, but now they're sort of becoming powerful in their own right. So they're going to discard the Labour Party, and
Well, we
they've been
need
panned,
to.
I guess.
I.
No, but
I'm just
these
watching.
are people who they have like Sharia law, and it's
Yeah,
so they're in power.
yeah,
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 that really scares me for my grandchildren, Kelly. I'm really
Yeah,
frightened that law will come here because, oh, we can't be racist. We must be kind. We've got to be nice. No, we don't. We don't.
And I just
We're
want to
at the
say,
bottom of the.
anyone expected this to be an interview where Di was going to be polite and watching P's and Q's. They're in for a shock.
I'm
go for it.
trying,
It's all
but
about
No,
it's
saying what you
really.
need to.
no, this is you. This is you,
Oh,
Di. Yeah,
yeah, it's just, nah. They're going to take over. It's bad enough that the trannies are changing our culture on Marae
Yeah.
and our rituals. They're being changed to accommodate the trannies because of all the young university educated Māori. That's bad enough, let alone all this influx of foreigners. And oh gosh, I'm glad we're not getting heaps of Somalians. Ugh, they're awful. Well, we used to have a Somalian rape gang in Wellington, Katrina, from when I was running when I was running the women's boarding house. And, I went to the Somalian Council. I went everywhere to go, mate, they're going to go, they're going to go. And because I didn't have paperwork to prove what was happening, and it was all an urban myth, stories from the girls on the street and everything, no one did anything until they started, and then they raped my girls. They attacked them. Yeah. They were in my house. They come back in a hell of a mess. And, well, it's pretty bad for the Somalians that the girls they happened to rape were their family were gang members.
right.
So,
Yes.
they did what a gang would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's real and true. It isn't some Mills and Boone fucking story someone's written. It's real and true. I've worked through it, I've lived it, I've seen it. And this
This
was
is a
nearly
class
20
war,
years
isn't
ago.
it?
It
It's
is. And
like against
how
the
many
like
more
working
women and
classes.
children have to be harmed?
Yeah.
Why
Well,
are
it's
we the fodder for the political
And
class?
you have to give academic evidence for them to for them to
yes.
take it seriously. Even like, and probably if you had that, they wouldn't, because of who you are.
No, and it wasn't until they got the beats put on them and their house stormed from the gang, they were going, oh, Dave, you should have said something. And I just laughed. They go, well, where are we going to find them? I went, oh, I've started at the hospitals myself. And it was real and true. These women were attacked and raped repeatedly from the Somalians.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
in Wellington, but and it's not going to get any better. You read our crime stats, and they have good old English names. Not they're all Singh Patel or Papajit or this or that or names I can't even pronounce. Fraud, all this
They do make
dishonesty
up
stuff.
they do make up the third highest number of domestic abuse incidents. Is that right? The Indian
Yeah,
group? Yeah, third highest.
and
And then there's a big drop down to, I think, European and then Asian or something like that. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
it's just
A lot
wow.
of the
We
liberal
have to.
women and men here,
Oh,
they won't take it
yeah.
on board because they don't seem to understand per capita.
mm,
They'll go, oh, it's
That's
white
like when
men. But like, if you look at how many there are of each
yeah,
group, then it's
yes.
disproportionate, and
It's
they
not
just
just about
don't.
numbers.
They either don't understand or they don't want to. I think it's probably that they don't want to understand.
and they
So
think they're
we've got people
protected.
in power saying about violence against women and girls, but they won't say why.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's blatantly obvious to everybody, but they won't say it.
Yeah.
No, like women and children are always the price. We are always the fodder for these political ideas and these academic ideas. You know, like even these surgeries back in the day that they practiced on, it wasn't men they practiced on. Oh, no. You know, it's always women and, you know, the children. To me, women and children just go hand in hand. You know, they are the most vulnerable. Because where there's children, there's women. Hey, but I'm just so,
And trans
oh, God.
ideology just follows the same path, really, of like it's, it wrecks women's and children's, rights and well-being.
And, and, and all these things are coming in and wrecking the family unit.
Yeah.
You know, like it may not have been perfect, but hell's bells, you know, it was a damn sight better than what they're force feeding us now.
Well, I would have to say,
Hey,
I have to agree with that. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
yeah,
So we've
no,
had,
that guy.
so Rex had it as a Rex, which is short for Rexine. I hope she doesn't mind me saying that because, sometimes it's a bit confusing. People wonder if you're talking about a bloke or a woman. But she did have, after a year of being basically dragged in and out of court by the police prosecution service, she eventually did have a good outcome. And that guy, Caitlin Spice, who was her accuser, he was crowing beforehand, basically, about he was quite sure that it was going to be an outcome that went his way. So he's been very
Yeah,
quiet since then, which is very nice.
How is Rex after what happened though? Because that's the process, that's the punishment, isn't it? And
Mm.
that's
I mean, a
stress.
whole,
She's
yeah, a
going
whole
through.
year of going to court, and so that, you know, petrol, parking, sleepless nights, having to, you know, just the whole thing of appearing. Rex doesn't have a record. She hasn't been in court before,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and having to
Stressful.
stand in the dock and, you know, just the whole 9 yards of it is just, what the, hey, the
yeah.
process,
Mm.
excuse me, is the punishment, and just, oh, man. And the fact that it's been entertained is just insanity on steroids.
Yeah, that is insane. Yeah, because we have this organization here called NetSafe, Kelly, and it's supposed to be it's like an NGO, and it's there to take complaints about the online harm. And in Rex's case, they get this complaint from Caitlin Spice and decided to uh, um, go direct to the police with it. And yet we have this other woman, Yvonne, who wrote about Caitlin Spice as well, and he complained about her to NetSafe. And they rang Yvonne and said, "Will you take it down?" And long story short, she didn't. She said no, and nothing happened. And I published. She did for a while. I beg your pardon. She took it down for a while she went overseas on a holiday because she didn't want to be hassled with emails while she was away. But she reinstated it when she got back. And in the meantime, I actually wrote about it on my own Substack and published that section. She wrote about this guy. Nothing. Didn't get not a dicky bird with me. Yeah, but with Rex, they went straight to the police.
Do you think
Yeah.
that's because she's married? Do you think that's the reason?
And poor,
Obviously, you
because
can't
we're
prove.
poor. You know, Rex is on a benefit or sickness benefit or whatever you call it. Like she doesn't work, can't work. You know, we live in a completely different world
Mm,
to a lot of
Yeah.
the women we work with.
yeah, and
So I boy,
yeah,
Nanny will go outside. Right, I just
you're
have to.
going outside,
Yeah, more Moko have just arrived.
right? That's your
Yeah,
granddaughter. Granddaughter. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, we follow what goes on in the UK quite closely, of course. So I was really pleased to see the Darlington nurses got their win, and every time there's a win in the UK, we learn from it. And
Yeah.
we're building up knowledge of how they won these cases, those kind of things that was said. And that so although New Zealand's a small country, it'd be hard to fundraise for a court case. We're still learning a lot, and we hope that one day we will be able to take at least a counsel to court about over their policies about allowing men who say they're women into women's spaces.
Well,
So
that's what needs to happen is the court cases, but, the cost.
Yeah,
they won't change
absolutely.
their minds out of the goodness of their hearts, that's for sure.
Father Darlington nurses, they're quite close to where I am in the northeast. They're a little bit further south than me, but it's within, you could drive there quite easily within about an hour. So they are quite close. And the actual hearing was in Newcastle. So I was there outside the court when they were going in and
Awesome.
stuff. So that was good.
Right.
And then
Oh,
Jennifer
And
Milley,
Santa Peggy
Jennifer
came along
Milley's
as
got
well.
dropped.
Sorry?
Jennifer Milley's case got dropped
Oh,
as
yes.
well. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
so and like you say, Katrina, we do follow, albeit somewhat slowly, but they're just so reluctant to put the brakes on. Like, just before Christmas, there was a halt on puberty blockers, and then PATHA, which is the New Zealand arm of WPATH, went to court, and some woke judge come in and went, no, you can't do that. But apparently that's got no weight behind it, that decision. And so this doctor is still not.
It's still legislation that's been gazetted, so a judge can't stop it. But she decided that she would put a judicial review on the process that led up to the banning of puberty blockers sometime in 2020, sometime this year. So it could be months away. Yeah, it's a delaying tactic. That's all it is, pure and simple. Because a judicial review, they'll be lucky if they find anything wrong.
Yes.
The government knows they have to follow the processes and tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway,
we're kind of in trouble, way.
Yeah.
I
So
think
we had
we're in some kind of trouble when the judiciary go against the government.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah. And she was very ignorant about the matter, to be honest. And then we've got this group called Resist Gender Education, and they wrote a very good piece about it and analysed it. And it really showed that she was really ignorant about the matter, and she just believed everything basically that PATHA said. Yeah. No, puberty blockers are fully reversible. If doctors are prescribing them, they must be okay.
And suicides and all the tropes, Katrina? Like, she sounded like just TRA, but once again, only one side was heard. That's the thing that amazes me with this woman, and never consulted on all the stuff that concerns us. Why aren't we consulting? Why are they consulting men?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it was a good. I mean, I feel that the legislation obviously it'll eventually sort of happen. The ban will happen, but of course there's just going to be this delaying tactic in the meantime. And why, I'm not quite sure why PATHA wants this, what that kind of scheme they've got going on, that they want this extra time or whatever. I don't know, but I dare say they'll show their hand in due course.
Yeah, so puberty blockers have been banned here, but they're starting a trial.
Yes,
So
are
they're
they still going to
testing
go
on
ahead with
children.
that?
It's disgusting. Yeah,
They're
that's
still
going ahead
doing
soon.
that. Right.
And Wes Streeton says he feels uncomfortable about it, but he's doing it anyway.
Why do so many people want to harm other people's children? That's the part that gets me. It's not even your kids, mate. Hey.
Nah. It's
Yeah.
the TRAs, they're putting pressure on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've ended up with so much clout. It's just staggering. I mean, they gathered a lot of it just while we were looking, basically, because we didn't know we had to look. And they've just ended up with so much clout. It's just unbelievable, the influence they have. It's quite disturbing, especially within the police force, of course. Like 140 diversity liaison officers in our police force. I'm not quite sure how many personnel the police force have, but New Zealand only has 5.5 million people. And I mean, of those, who are, whatever you want to call them, neo-rainbow, I don't know, it's about 0.5% or so, or 0.5% or
Yeah.
something.
Uh,
Yeah,
And
according
and
to
they've, you know,
stats.
they're doing that at the same time they've stopped mental health call-outs.
Yes,
They've stopped it.
the police.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've stopped
So,
mental health call-outs. Oh my
yep,
God.
I know. So the poor CAT team workers and the mental health workers and that, like even in the paper just the other day, there was, they rang for the police and no one came, in a crisis, no one came. So they're too busy doing the diversity liaison.
yeah,
And I just
So
find it so
if someone was like
staggering.
on a bridge threatening to jump, they wouldn't go out and see them.
I don't know.
No,
Not
they
sure.
Or is
reckon
this
no.
people in their homes who are having a crisis?
I'm
Yeah,
not
there
quite
was
sure.
Could be
a
both.
crisis called that was on the paper there, just in the headlines the other day, and no police came.
Yeah,
And it's they've been trying to stagger the call outs because it's taking up a lot of time because there's a lot of crazies
Yeah, there
yeah,
will
for
be.
some
yeah.
They're
reason.
causing the crises, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think it was a
So
huge mistake to shut down the asylums. That sounds really bad to say it like that, asylums, but the place. But I don't know what you want to
The
call them, some nice
hospitals.
word, but it was a big mistake to shut them down because,
absolutely.
like a lot of people, I've heard, people who used to work there, that people, what do you call it, the residents, a lot of them were really distressed at the
Yeah.
fact of going to be, let out, because that was that was home to them, that's where they felt safe.
And now shutting down the lunatic asylums, mental health homes, that was a really bad move because now they're all out in the community. And, I presume the UK has the same housing shortage we have, and there's only X
Yeah,
amount of places for mental health people, and there isn't
yeah,
enough.
yeah,
There just isn't enough. And so they're in the community. And now the police are saying they're not going to do mental health call out. So what are the police going to do? What, Rainbow Crossings and Drag Queen story time? That'll be their number one earner.
Yeah,
Oh,
unfortunately. But then we have some other sort of quite good news in that the gender ideology component got taken out of the relationships and sexuality guidelines for schools this year. I think it was just about entirely removed. There might have been one or two things that still need addressing or something, but that was a good big positive move. And
oh
Sports New,
yes. Yeah.
Sports New Zealand took their so, uh, community guidelines for transgender participation or inclusion or something like that off their website. And so they, the CEO of Sports New Zealand, a woman named Raylene Castle, using someone else's words, she made a statement. It was written, but it really came across as though she had a gun to her head when she about taking these guidelines down. She didn't sound happy about it at all. But so that's two places that they've come out of now. About that, so it's good. But that's in theory, in a way. You wonder sort of still what's being
yeah,
practiced, on the ground in reality, because some people desperately do not want trans ideology to be taken out of schools and sports.
mhm,
And, yeah, just basically.
I think that I think we really need to concentrate on getting it out of the birth certificates because as it
yeah,
stands, I don't know how it is over there, Kelly, but here, Tom can go in, call himself Thomasina, and change his sex marker and his name, and unless he's a well-known criminal, the criminal history doesn't follow the new name.
yeah.
So, they change on their
So
birth certificates. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
interviewed a
follow it.
detransitioner. And his birth certificate was reissued with female on it, with his parents' signatures on, even though his parents didn't agree. I was absolutely horrified.
It's
So you
like
you have sex
the
self-ID in the US as well? Like you can
yeah.
they
So
can change
he's got
birth
a
certificates.
gender recognition certificate, and then they reissued his birth certificate
Right.
as female, and now he
Yeah.
can't change it back. There's no process to change it back because he's
Oh.
obviously detransitioning.
Oh, well, we're
It's
lucky
easy
here.
to change it, but the
We can
opposite
change it
going
every year.
backwards seems to be a problem.
Well,
You
I think,
know, like
well, you can change it every year here. I think the law allows you to change it every year or something. I don't
yes,
know if
every
there's a
12 months. But in children, it's innate, don't you know? That's what
yeah,
it says in our legislation through
yeah,
the when we were doing the self-sex ID and the conversion therapy, is that for children this is an innate feeling, but for adults we can change it every year. Like
yeah,
if
But it
people
isn't
can't see
innate
how
though,
insane
because
this is, hey,
I know when I was at school, I didn't know anybody who had this.
no,
same. Like I did a post
Um,
a couple of years ago now, Kelly, about how many transvestites were at your school, and like that had 1.5 million views, and oh, it's far too many for me to comment on comments. But it didn't exist. How crazy would it be? You know, how excited would these liberal people be if you come on and went, Johnny's a transvestite?
yeah,
You know, because that language is the game.
they hate that word. They hate that word.
Yeah,
We should say it more,
yeah.
actually. Instead of calling them trans-identified men, we should call them transvestites. I'm starting to
That's
think
I
that.
call them
Yeah.
transvestites. They're just
Uh-huh.
transvestites. I just use that word. I don't care. No wonder I'm not popular, but I still don't care. Hey, but you know, like the language is the game, you know, and that's where it all lies is in the language. So I've worked really hard to not use any of it, and it is really hard to train your brain to not use it,
Yeah.
you know, and
yeah,
sometimes slips out, but no, they're just transsexuals, transvestites, because,
yeah,
you know, there isn't much
yeah,
difference between a transsexual or a transvestite. You know, I don't think these, you know, imagine Jazz Jennings' mum, oh, Jazz is a transvestite. You know, said no
yeah,
one ever with that level of excitement.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
because we all
yes,
know that transsexual and transvestite had something icky about it.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
Hey,
You're
yeah.
right,
you
Kath.
know, so we're,
Transvestite. I sort of use a clumsy phrase like men who say they're women, but really transvestites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yes,
just
I've been
use it.
saying that as well. Yeah.
Like,
It's
yeah,
what's the worst
important to
that
get
can
the
happen? You're
language
going to get banned for a few
accurate.
days.
yeah.
Hmm.
But talking about the language, you know, it trying to get our bureaucracy or our public service, you know, to change their language because we had who was it? The Associate Minister for Health, Casey Costello. She issued a directive earlier in the year that they had to use, you know, basically sensible language for women. You know, not this gobbledygook language. And yet there are still departments doing that. You know, talking about yeah, it's really hard to change them. You know, it's
But
hard
look
for
at
us
the
to understand
midwives, Katrina.
how indoctrinated they are. Isn't it? Because we haven't been through that sort of thing, you know, getting that such indoctrination, you know. We didn't get that in our education. I mean, the most we
No,
might have got at school when we were brought up Catholics, you know, so we were taught religion and that, we um but we sort of as we got older, we just kind of, you know, let it go. So it's really hard to
Yeah.
understand this whole cohort that have come through with such incredible indoctrination that they can't let it go about trans ideology. It's hard for
Mm.
us to grasp that, isn't it?
yeah.
It's kind of
And,
replaced religion, hasn't it?
Mm.
yes, yes, it's state-sponsored religion now, because the money involved in this is staggering. You know, all the
Yeah.
other services that actually help in the community are struggling and running on the smell of an oily rag, and the trannies are cruising around in all this flash gear, and they've got heaps of money, and they've been given endowments, and sometimes they'll get like half a dozen bites out of one council under different names. of the funding pool. So it'll
Yeah.
be a fund for this, a fund for that, a fund for this, a fund for that, and they'll sweep away with all 6 of them.
Is that
Yeah.
right? Wow. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't know about 6. But, they dipped in more than once. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, wherever they can get their sticky beak, mate, they're in. Cyclone
Yeah.
Gabriel, they were in getting funds. I didn't see no Rainbow Group helping to clean up,
No, this is
you know.
Cyclone Gabriel she's talking about, which hit hit the east coast of the North Island. When was it? A couple of years ago now.
It
Yeah,
was the
and it
same
was
time as
devastating.
Kelly J, mate, as Posey Parker came. It was, around
Yes,
that time.
both.
Because remember, Terry was digging out her neighbour?
Right. No, I don't remember that, but so
Yeah,
nearly 3
and
years ago. Yeah.
yeah, and we were doing all that work with Sarah in her car outside of McDonald's, but she had no power.
Right. Oh, yes, yes, that's right. Sitting in the car with you.
And that's why we ended up at Albert Park, is because they had the arts program was put back a month because of the cyclone. So we didn't get a choice of venue when Posey came here. We were told that's where we were because there wasn't a choice of venue because of the cyclone and
Yeah.
everything being pushed back.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah. But no,
Yes,
they got
nearly 3
funds from Cyclone
years ago.
Gabriel.
Beg your pardon?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember seeing they got funds. I was talking to one of the clean-up crews and I was like, the Rainbow are most affected. Oh, I'm pretty sure the people whose people have died are the most affected, but hey, that's just me. Because there were
Yeah.
deaths and
Yeah.
because of the
I tell you
flooding
something
and
else little bit amusing is that this is around about Cyclone Gabriel time. There was a young man in the UK. He was a transvestite, I suppose, and he was killed, wasn't he, by a couple of guys in a park or something? That was how many? Yeah, so that would be
Was
about
it?
3 years. What? I can't remember
Z,
his name.
Yeah.
Beg pardon?
Zach Z,
No,
initial Z.
I think it was.
he
I'm,
was.
I
They
can't
tried.
remember.
I think there was sort of an attempt to make out it was sort of like a trans hate crime, but it wasn't. It was just a crime by two. Anyway. So we had there was a group. I think it was in Auckland. Pretty sure it was a group here. Decided they were going to have a vigil for this guy. And anyway, Cyclone Gabriel came along and it cancelled that
Brianna
vigil.
Gay.
Beg pardon?
That's the person. I think you're talking about Brianna Gay.
No,
Oh
Ghay.
yes,
no, this was it.
Brianna.
Oh,
Brianna.
over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, this Cyclone Gabriel cancelled the vigil because of the weather, but they weren't to be
Wow.
deterred. As Di said, they didn't decide, oh, well, get out there and help clean up now. No, they had the vigil the following weekend. So
Yeah. Just
for someone in the UK, they had this vigil. Yeah,
but it's
instead of
just the left. The left are totally insane.
yeah, I'm
Leftists
afraid.
They're
are
trying to
insane. They're
say that
totally
was a.
insane.
They're trying to say that was because he was trans, but it wasn't. Even his mother said that it wasn't because of that.
They just desperately wanted it to be. Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
maybe if she didn't let him dress like a whore,
I
maybe
don't,
he wouldn't have been targeted.
I don't know if he was or not. I'm not sure.
He was,
Was he?
mate.
No, I
Short
think they had
skirt,
a
boots,
list.
long socks. Yeah,
I
his,
didn't look into it a
know.
lot, but I think the kids who murdered him they had a list, and he answered the phone and met up with them or something, and it was just wrong place, wrong time. If he had said no, I'm not coming,
Yeah,
it wouldn't have happened.
yeah.
It might have
Yeah,
been
because
someone else.
there's been no trans murdered in New Zealand in the last 10 years.
Well, more. I think
Right.
it's 2010 was the last one. That's 15, 16 years.
How many
Yeah,
women are murdered?
that's right. Like the last stats I did, I think was in 22, and it was 89,000, this is global stats, 89,000 women in a year versus 321 transvestites. And of the 321 transvestites, over half of them were Brazilian prostitutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Talking of
haven't done.
the lefties, and I think you have just as many insane people in your Green Party, don't you, Kelly, as we have here?
The
I
Green
think.
Party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they
No,
seem to
they had
be
Amy
getting quite
Canada over
popular.
there.
They are. They are like, yeah, they've got a new leader, haven't they?
Yeah. No, but he was the same
He's a
guy. I heard that he was some guy that before he became the leader of the Green Party or became political. He ran some business where he reckoned he could make women's breasts grow through hypnotherapy or something.
Yeah,
Or something. Yeah. So
yeah, that's what I've heard as well. Isn't it Zach Polanski? He
right.
comes out with
Oh,
some wild things.
I'll just make them bigger. That's Zach.
Well, I don't
I know
think
who you
most of them
mean,
want
Kelly.
to make them bigger.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we had a young girl over here, and thankfully to Glenna and some of the women in resist gender education, they got the story broken, and we haven't had any murders, direct murders, but Vanessa was an anorexic. She got surrounded by all the rainbow organisations. They smacked away all the ones because she was already diagnosed with anorexia and eating disorders. So they smacked everyone away but the rainbows, and she was 30 kilo when she died alone in a hotel room. And when her parents came, and she was on the brink of reconciliation with her parents, and when her parents come to get her body, the police told them off for misgendering her.
Yeah. It was
That's
a story. Yeah, and it took a long time to find a journalist who would be
yes.
brave enough to write it. A long time, and I think she got hell for writing it. But she agonized over making sure she got all the details right in that story.
Yeah.
But it's still, because it wasn't a puff piece, a trans puff piece, like they just normally all are. She got hell, from trans lobby groups and etc. But
It sounds like it's
we've
still
had
quite
a
dangerous
exodus
over
of
there.
had a bit of an exodus of
Yeah.
Green Party MPs in the last year, 2 years or something. They they do pick the let's just say they know how to pick them. So, and we had this guy called named Benjamin Doyle. He's a Green MP, and he came into Parliament in a dress, and, and it was a they them, and he had an Instagram account. It was open, and he had some quite dodgy pictures on it, with a kid and some dodgy pictures and language. The kid was purportedly his child, but I personally don't know if that's true or not. And the Green Party, instead of he said he's not going to succumb to the hate because he got a bit of a pile on about this. What are you doing, calling you something, referring to your kid, and what do you say, something about all the bussy here, which I don't know if you know what bussy is. Do you know what it is? No, apparently it's a gay slang term, isn't it, for male anus to be used.
It's receptive for sex.
Yeah. So he was making some joke with his kid about bussy, and people were saying that's a bit off, and worse, you're telling her worse, and he refused to sort of succumb to the hate. But eventually he did resign, and it was quite funny because he's doing determinedly a they them, and in his resignation speech, he called himself I. And of course, people were saying, shouldn't that be we? If you, if you're a they them, shouldn't we be talking about we? So, yeah. But anyway, I suppose, I don't know, is it the same there? Just the Green Party seems to get just some, weirdos in there, some dodgy
Well, there,
characters.
isn't he? Burnett Foundation, him and that other one, Like at the moment, Kelly, we've got in the news, the Greens are crying racism again because we've got a whole lot of Asian gangs stripping all the rock pools of all the
Yes,
life,
along the coast, along
all the sea life around that, all the beaches, all the rocky shore. They're just
Doing
stripping
that
it.
for?
the just
Hey,
Aye.
and
yeah, Asian communities. They send out, I think, they have WhatsApp groups or something like that. But
busloads of them with buckets.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they just take everything from lichen to everything. There's no life left in the rock pools. And so we've been told that we're not allowed to say that they're Asians by the Asian and the Green Party. That I'm like 98% sure if you go to the Burnett Foundation, he's part of their advertising.
Oh,
Mm.
really? And the Burnett Foundation was
Was.
originally set up for AIDS here, so it did good work. But then, of course, AIDS kind of didn't go away, but it got people. I suppose people got on top of it, and
Yeah.
well, the medical profession, and then so they had to, like all these other organisations, that they have to find something else. Yeah.
Mm.
So somehow they went trans stupid, and they get funding, for some. If you look at what they get funding for, I think what was it? One of the things was, I think the Wellington City Council gave them $160,000 to teach, I think, trans people about trans sex or something like this, and it involved
Was it the
Europe.
one? So they do the urine play, the scat play, and I
Yeah,
think the
yeah.
funding you might be talking about, Katrina, was like one of the is have fun with your stoma.
With you, what's a stoma?
The site, when you have a bowel replacement or something like that, that
Yeah. Oh,
site, that's
Yeah.
called a stoma.
oh
Yeah.
God!
That's what it
Is that when
is.
you have a
And
thing?
we're funding that. Us taxpayers are
Uh-huh.
funding that.
Is that when you have a hole in the side of your stomach and a bag?
Yeah.
Right, bag goes
Yeah.
into it.
And
Uh,
how to have sex when you're with your stoma and
yeah.
safe sex and fun sex and they're debauched bastards. We shouldn't be paying for this. This isn't healthy. Like, I'm sorry, but playing with feces is not a healthy pastime. No
No.
matter which way you
What
cut it.
goes? Yeah.
I don't care if it's your specialty or you get off on it. Keep it in your closet. I don't care. It should not be public. And
No.
if that makes me
No.
a prude, oh, I'm a racist prude tonight, aren't I? And I don't care. Because
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
all
We had
available. Hey,
I think prudery gets
when
a
I
bad
stood for
name.
election. When I stood for election, there was a young woman stood for the Green Party, and she was in a wheelchair, so she obviously had disabilities, and she had a son. But she's all in for the trans stuff, so she was a they them, I think. And she sent me an email asking about some access issues that she was having and did I get the information and stuff. And then she was like, oh, you see, women and non-binary people can get along. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be horrible to someone just because they say they're non-binary or anything, but and then I don't think any of what I said during the election campaign registered with her because she didn't respond or react or anything to anything I said during the campaign.
yeah.
But I saw it online afterwards, quite some time afterwards, because I'd commented on something and she had an angry emoji on it. So I was being told off. So
Chalk
yeah,
it up.
but they're full of them. And then the Lib Dem campaign, the candidate for the Lib Dems was quite. He was trying to show me how this person was. Look, they are XY chromosomes, but don't they look like a woman? So it's okay that they
Yeah,
say
yeah,
they're a woman because they look like one. And
yeah.
I was just like, no,
Oh, this is this
It's,
weird,
it's
weird.
incredible, isn't it? That
Yeah,
womanhood has been reduced to a dress, a look,
yeah,
or mannerisms. That's all we are.
I'll
It's
tell you
like,
this.
I feel like
When when we came to, what did we come to Wellington for? Helen Houghton,
Briggs
she's the
court.
she's she's the leader of. No, this was beforehand. She was the leader of this Conservative Party here, and she lives not far from me. We get along quite well. We have some differences, of course.
Was that the Law Commission?
Remember, there were four of us that came up. It might have been actually. We might have been to way back when, after the Posey Parker rally was cancelled. We had one later in the year, a Let Women Speak rally later in the year. We did our own one, and so four of us came to that, and the taxi driver we had on the way from the airport into the city, he was he was an Indian guy, so I don't know whether this was going to make any difference or not. But anyway, and then the way he sort of chatted with us, what I mean is that, and one of us sort of mentioned that where we were going and what it was for, and then sort of started this discussion, and he thought it was okay that men, if they had boobs on that was all okay. That you could consider them women,
Yeah.
basically. But that was it. Well, they've got boobs and,
Well, men look at them and think, yeah, I'd tap that.
I don't think they do, though. Not unless
Hey,
they're gay. Not
you know.
straight men don't like trans women.
no, I reckon you'd be quite surprised what men will do,
Well, I do wonder why so many dude bros reckon we need to listen to them on our own rights.
Yeah.
Your mansplainers, sit down. Hey, I just, or why they think that they've got the right to have any say like that. Who's that creepy actor? Pascal, was it Pascal? Who only
Oh,
gropes women?
Pascal,
Hey, he
yes.
only gropes the women and not the men.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it's, yeah. I can't remember. That's one of his names. I can't remember if it's his first name or
Yeah.
second. Yeah.
But they ruin everything. They've got the reverse Midas touch. I'll be watching something on TV, whether it's Netflix or the BBC or TVNZ, and there's a tranny, a pooner, and they're trying to pass this pooner off as a bloke. Like, don't be ridiculous. It's quite obvious it's a woman.
Yeah.
So, she doesn't have breasts, but, you can still see it's a woman.
Quite tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's a puna?
Yeah.
A pooner's
Is
the
that
woman
word?
one.
Oh,
The
right,
pooner's
like a trans man.
female to male. I just call them pooners. Transvestites and pooners.
Okay. I
Okay.
hadn't heard pooners before, but I think I kind of half guessed. I don't know.
Yeah, just, when they get out of our spaces and when they stop harming children, then you can talk to me about respect. But until then, just la 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 la.
Yeah. And I think that I made a comment on an X post earlier, either today or yesterday, and I said that I can't, basically we can't afford to have sympathy for these people, and especially not the men anymore, because as soon as you've got to withhold it, because as soon as we showed sympathy, they worked us over. They used it to the advantage and worked us over, and so I said we just can't do that now. Extend sympathy to them because they.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed with the sympathy thing, Katrina, is that it would seem, because of the internet, I presume, is that people want us to care about everyone.
Yeah.
Like, there's billions of people I don't give a fuck about. I really don't. Billions of them. And I never ever will.
Yeah.
But it would seem that the internet has made it that we must or something.
Yes, that's true.
And if people are honest, hey,
Yeah.
there are billions of people we don't think about day in and day out.
Yeah,
So
but you're expected to.
I
Yes.
can't.
you're expected to.
We don't have capacity. We have to look after the people who are in our community, the people
Yes.
around us.
In our village, so to speak,
Yeah.
It takes a
Yeah.
village, and yes, in our community. I wrote a Matariki piece. I should send it to you, Kelly, because it speaks about it. Actually begins in the family.
Yeah.
Because if the family's running well, that spreads out to the next layer and the next
Yes.
layer. But if the
Yeah.
family's dysfunctional, that's what spreads out and keeps ricochets through the community.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
like, although it's been marketed and just taken again, because anything mouldy is it's just been taken and turned on its head and marketed, and like mouldy can't join mouldy language classes because it's full of Pākehā, and Tauiwi is full of all these people wanting to learn mouldy, that aren't even
Pākehā,
mouldy,
Pākehā
and
are European New Zealanders, in case you didn't
or
know.
Tauiwi, just not mouldy people.
Yeah.
And I just, oh man, so everything mouldy's just on its head. And, I myself have mouldy fatigue because of the politicization of it all,
Yeah.
and
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
It's all been
And this is the
politicized.
thing, isn't it?
It's been taken
They're
and
targeting
used.
the family to destroy it.
Yes, yes, because if the families are functional and healthy and well, that goes, it just stands to reason that that is what will come into the community. But while the family's
Yeah.
broken and dysfunctional, that is what's gonna ricochet out. So it
Yeah.
begins with the
Absolutely.
family, and you're right, Kelly, that's why they're targeting them. They have to break the family system up. And then there's also the transhumanism side of it, where they try and reduce us down to just body parts, right? Surrogacy, "Oh, buy a baby. Oh, it's cheap over here," you know? "Oh, look, you don't like how you look. Oh, just give me your money, I'll change how you look." Everything's become so superficial when there's no depth. I'm
I think
100% against
what's that
surrogacy.
what I've been noticing as well. I totally agree with you on the surrogacy thing, but I've also been noticing there's I don't know if it's new statistics that have come out, but there's the statistics for women having abortions are quite high, very high. And I
Which
think it's been
and
encouraged for a long time rather than
yes,
supporting family
and
and children.
yes, and over here, full-term abortion is legal,
They've just brought that in here as well. And it
you know?
coincided with the assisted dying bill as well.
Oh,
They
yeah,
brought
we
those
got
two
that
things out at
through.
the same
Like, governments really hate us, you know?
time. They do.
I am going to speak up in defence of these so-called full-term abortions, because I think to myself, now, how many are there? But I do know that why they've done it is because there are times when a pregnancy in late term does need to be terminated, and it gives the it gives the makes it puts the decision into the woman's hands, as opposed to just being into the medical professional's hands to decide. And I do know of somebody who's had a late term termination. I don't know how many women turn up 8 months pregnant and say, "Oh, look, I don't want this anymore. Can you terminate it?" I really don't. There are other reasons than just sort of whimsical reasons
No,
for that.
I'm not. I'm not. I wouldn't ever judge anybody for making that decision. But it's the timing of it that is. It makes me
That
suspicious.
makes me uncomfortable. Like, I've always, I don't know if I've been on the fence with abortion, but I'm not telling any woman what to do. If that's best for you, go do it, It's been where I sit with it. And then they come along with full-term abortion. I'm thinking, bro, you've got 9 fucking months to decide this. What are you doing waiting till the, delivery date? I'm really suspicious of it. And anecdotally, from someone in the know, and I won't name names, is one of the number one reasons for these late-term abortions is a new boyfriend. Because this person who told me that encourages the woman to have the baby, she takes the baby, then fosters, adopts it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
so, but like
see
I say, that's
that kind of
anecdotal.
pressure. Yeah, I can see that kind of
Yeah,
pressure would come into play. Yeah.
yes.
But
I know
And
yeah.
it is an emotive topic and it is complicated, and I'm not saying it's not. It's the fact that they brought it in at the same time as assisted
yes,
dying, which
yes.
it
That's
raised alarm bells. I was like, why are they doing that? They're actively doing that. Why? It makes me ask questions about the
same.
political
Like
side and why they're doing
like
it.
one of the turfs, Katrina, gardening duties, she assisted dying last year because
Yes.
she couldn't get lung cancer treatment.
Yes. She died
Why
before
aren't
she.
they offering better palliative care?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't object to assisted dying. I'm probably on the other side of the fence to you two about that, because I often think that if I had some sort of terminal illness or whatever, I would like to feel that I could make that decision. But that woman you're talking about, yes,
In
she had made the
normal
decision
times,
to
I
have
would
assisted
agree.
dying, but she died
Yeah.
beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
whereas,
would normally agree.
there's that,
It's because of the government that we've got and the
yes,
timing of it, and the fact
Yeah.
that they
yeah.
don't like people and they're not focusing on palliative care or anything like that. They just seem to want
And
to
look at Canada
reduce the population.
with their MAID program. They're offering it to homeless. You're diabetic. Have you thought about killing yourself? Oh, you're homeless. How about killing yourself? They're going for the disabled, the IHC, the homeless. Like, boy, is their slippery slope huge. And I think the stats for Canada were 5% of assisted suicides were women.
How many?
5%,
And the rest were
I
men.
think. Yeah, must be. Well, then we only come as two flavours.
Yeah, that was a
You
great
know,
question, wasn't it?
hey, but they're targeting the vulnerable, and it's one thing. I think it might have been Casey is talking about the palliative care. We need to put more into that than this assisted
Yeah,
dying.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I voted against it because I don't trust the government.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
in theory and principle, I stand with you, Katrina. Like if I get really sick
Yeah.
and sore, yeah, man, end it. But because of who's in there doing it, and the other things that aren't being put into play, so that people who need palliative care are getting that, it's just ladies, you're like, what? That I object to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
fine.
I do understand the slippery slope aspect of it.
Yeah. I,
Consent.
oh,
Have you heard about that book that Kara Dansky's? I suppose we've been chatting for a while now. I suppose we should think about winding it up and let you go to work and let us go to bed.
Well, it's only 7:15 in the morning, so I'm gonna have some breakfast first.
Right. Kara Dansky's compiling a book of she's getting stories from different countries about what's gone on there with gender ideology, and New Zealand is having a chapter in it, and I guess that I guess the UK is having a chapter as well, but I don't know who's doing it. But you haven't heard anything about it,
I don't know. That's the first time I've heard.
right? Yeah.
I'll
So
look it up.
so she's hoping to have it published by the third quarter of this year. So. And then
oh, yeah.
And then we're doing a book as well here in New Zealand. It's been compiled by Jill Ovens. She's the co-leader of the Women's Rights Party, and someone else called Sasha Jones. And it's about Albert Park, what happened with Kelly J. Keane at Albert Park in Auckland in 2023, about women's stories, finally being compiled and put together in a book.
Well,
And
that would be really good to read.
and then there's an aftermath section as well, about what happened to what not so much what happened to women, but what they did afterwards, and that, or how it affected them afterwards and things. So yeah, it should be good. It's about it's always should have been done, this book, and I think the timing's quite good now because there's that sort of distance between it that so much has been
Yes.
learned that people will really understand the stories and the terribleness of that day, and that was the worst mob violence against women in New Zealand's history, and it's as far as politicians and that want to go. And I'm not saying all politicians are bad, but they just want to sweep that under the rug. They do not want to
Yes,
address that.
all of them do, I'd agree with that, They don't really want to acknowledge it, talk about it, or that it even happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that
No, that would
hopefully will
be a
be out
really
later
good
in the
book.
year as well. Yeah,
Yeah. I look forward to that because I think it's interesting because we obviously saw quite a lot of footage and we saw Kelly J and what happened to her, but she, like, although it was tense in the moment and we didn't know what was going to happen, she did escape without being harmed, apart from the soup over her head. So that is an assault. But other women were actually punched in the face,
Yeah.
weren't they? And other
Yes.
violence happened.
Some guy had his teeth knocked out.
Yeah,
Did
it's
he?
just
Yeah. And then
yeah.
the man with he came, like we got photos of him, and I'm pretty sure he's got a she/her badge on, this bloke. But he come with gauntlets, arm gauntlets, metal gauntlets,
Yes.
and all that. So no, all these books will be really good, and like you say, it's removed from the emotion of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've heard that the stories are really good. I mean, I wasn't at Albert Park. Neither Di nor I were there. We were going to go to the Wellington rally, but that obviously got cancelled after what happened in Auckland.
Yeah.
But I've written a little bit about the aftermath of it, just sort of from my point of view. But and talking about how we got kicked out of a kicked out of a restaurant in Wellington for being
Yes.
turds, basically.
What
Yeah,
happened?
And Piecock, can't go to the Piecock Cafe because we're turfs.
yeah. Oh, I think it was because we already had plane tickets to go to Wellington. There's a group of 4 of us. We decided we were going to go anyway on the day that the rally would have been held. And somebody opened up their house to us, and there was this sort of big gathering there. But at some stage, my sister and a friend, and my 2 sisters actually came with me, and a friend, we decided to go downtown and have some lunch there. And while we were at this house, Di's sister Rex had been handing out these little stickers saying, trans women are men and most have a penis, or something like that. Anyway, and one of our group slapped it on a T-shirt, and they forgot it was there. And we went into this restaurant, and we started ordering food, and then we were told we had to leave because it had this sticker on there, and it was hate speech. So we
And not just
decided,
ask you
we
to take it
argued the
off.
point.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. So
And we're still like that here. Like, we're
Yeah.
still very much like that here at street level.
yeah, yeah. So
Like last time,
yeah,
my last hospitalisation, I made sure I had no turfy teas on, mate. Because the time before I turfed out, and man, they treated me like shit.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't,
That,
I was too doolally in the head to get the doctor's surname.
mm.
Otherwise, I would have laid a complaint. And so this time, yeah, no turfing to the staff until I've sussed them out.
Yeah.
So,
To see
yeah,
what
I was,
happened at Glasgow. At Glasgow, let women speak at the student union afterwards.
no,
Yeah, so I was there with my friend. We went for the weekend and we had the Let Women Speak outside this museum. And then afterwards we had booked the women there had booked the student union to have a party. And we got kicked out for our banners.
yes, that's
They
right.
made the mistake of telling us that that was why, because of our beliefs. So they've broken the law.
And
So I think
are they
that's
getting?
going
Are
through.
you taking it further?
Well, I'm not personally, but I think Kelly J is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Footage
There's a
of
couple of
what
Kelly,
happened.
I'm just trying to remember their names because it's a couple of Kelly J's girls that send Rex the stickers. I know it's Lou McDonald and is it Shelley? Oh, I can't. Another girl. It's Lou
I
and
know
someone.
Louise.
Yeah, Louise and someone else who send Rex all these stickers. So,
Oh, okay.
they
So
travel
that's
far and wide. It's wonderful, wonderful. So,
yeah.
yeah, so Rex will be able to celebrate her 60th because she's 60 in February without this court case hanging over her.
Good. She'll have a good birthday.
Yeah, yes, she will, but, just a whole year wasted on a court case. And because it all come about inadvertently because she thought she'd removed all the posts because our brother had just died. So, she missed 2.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's when Let's Ape and all that, and they just all started. I thought,
This
but
is so strange
like,
that the police didn't just come to her and say, "Look, missed to get rid of them within 24 hours or else, that type of thing. It's really strange they just didn't do
Yeah.
that, but that is what they decide to prosecute her on, was those two
Yes,
posts that were left there. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
crazy, eh?
mm,
Crazy. And like, I personally think that when push come to shove, that the prosecution didn't have their T's crossed and I's dotted, and they thought, uh-oh. And Rex's
Yeah.
lawyer said everything from the table if this goes any further. And we had all the texts from Daniel Johnson talking about his rainbow pus leaking out of his cunt on the bus after his surgery,
his
and about all
words.
his lovely eggs. These are his words that he's on public. He's in public, talks about his bro hole. And
He's
so we
gross.
had all those texts to the lawyer, and because the prosecution and NetSafe didn't follow their own process, they just went for Rex something hard and straight into the police. And and every post, like every couple of months, they put another charge on her. She ended up on that day when they dismissed it all. It was, I think, 4 failing to follow HDCAs, not just one. And
It's
yeah,
just shocking,
and
isn't it? They're just
yeah,
targeting women for
But
they
just
are.
anyway,
speaking and
Well,
telling the truth.
you've got to be some kind of stupid person to target Rex.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I wouldn't like to
personally
mess with
think,
that.
hey, like, boy, are you arrogant or what? You've chosen the, the loudest, what are you up to?
yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
got threatened as well, Katrina, with stuff if from the
Well,
same sort of quarters, didn't you?
that same guy, a few years beforehand, he sort of threatened me told me I had to take down all mentions of him, otherwise, there'd be legal proceedings, and I just ignored him. Yeah, and
It,
nothing happened. He didn't go to the police, obviously, or anything. So,
oh,
but
So,
good.
and yeah, so I think, oh, wow. So hopefully with Rex's court case being dismissed or whatever, because she hasn't got a criminal record. Oh, diversion. They're finally given her diversion. She has to do 20 hours community work and write an apology letter. No fine.
an apology
That's,
letter, I can't wait to see that.
yeah. But, like, it's like back to that feelings about we got to care for everyone in the world. Mate, you can say what you
Yeah.
want. You don't have to mean it. Hey,
Yeah.
That's
Well,
a
you
good
hey,
can't.
point.
You can't be forced to mean something, can you?
no,
I
you,
don't
you
like being
can't
forced to.
force, you can't force sincerity.
No.
No law's going to make us, well, it's not going to make me sincere, and it's not going to make me call transvestite a woman. It's just not going to happen.
No.
Hey,
Yeah.
and
Anyway,
you
Katrina,
cannot
Di,
force or pardon.
I was, I was just gonna wind things up because the time's getting on. But thank you so much for coming on again. And
Oh,
I'll let
thanks
you
for
know when it
having us.
comes out.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
No,
you,
thank
Good
you
to
Kelly.
have a
so
chat
much.
like this. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
Kelly.
been
Great.
great
Thank you
talking
very
to you
much.
again and catching up.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. You
All
take
right.
care. Keep on turfing.
I will do. Right.